I used to work mid-shifts for a couple of years. My shift would usually end around 2 a.m., and by the time I got to the parking lot in the building's basement, it'd be closer to 2:30, sometimes 3 a.m. The place was always quiet, dark, and honestly a little unsettling at that hour. I'd often find myself walking alone to my car in the stillness of the parking garage. There was a routine to it, a familiarity in the monotony. I knew everyone who worked there, the guards, the receptionists, even the maintenance crew. We'd always chat, catch up, maybe share a coffee from the pantry or some snacks from the vending machine. It was a friendly atmosphere. But this one night, something felt different. As I got off the elevator and walked into the basement parking area, I saw someone I didn't recognize. A man in the usual maintenance uniform, but he wasn't someone I had ever seen before. And there was something about him that immediately sent a chill down my spine. His shoulder-length black hair hung low, completely obscuring his face. My gut told me something wasn't right. I had the usual coffee I always carried, something I'd offer to the staff, but for some reason I didn't want to approach him. I don't know why. Maybe it was because I couldn't see his face. Maybe it was his body language. Either way, I decided to skip the usual friendly gesture and just head straight for my car. But as I walked away, I noticed something strange. I could hear my heels clicking on the cold concrete floor, but then, there was another set of footsteps. Not mine. A second set. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I started walking faster, and so did the footsteps behind me. Whoever was following me wasn't trying to be subtle. They were matching my pace. No, they were keeping up with me. I could hear the rhythm of their steps getting closer. At that moment, I panicked. I broke into a run. My car was just ahead, but it felt like the distance would never close. I kept running, hearing those footsteps right behind me. I reached my car, thankfully, and with trembling hands, I pressed the button on my key fob to unlock it. Without thinking, I jumped inside, slammed the door shut, and locked it behind me. But even then, I wasn't safe. The man, he was there, standing outside my car, smiling. His face was pressed against my window, an eerie, unsettling grin spread across his face. He wasn't saying a word, just staring at me, trying to open the door. I could see his hands fumbling with the handle, but the door was locked. I just sat there, frozen in terror. In that moment, all I could think to do was start the engine. The car had an alarm system that would trigger if the door was locked remotely and the engine started from the inside. I didn't care, I just wanted him to go away. The second the alarm went off, he froze. The man stopped trying to open my door, stood up straight, and then he did something that only made everything worse. He saluted me. Just like that. One quick, bizarre salute, and then he turned around and walked away. I sat there in shock, my heart racing. It felt like hours before anyone came. I was sobbing, the coffee I had been holding spilled all over me. It was like my body didn't know how to react. But then, I saw them. The guard and the regular maintenance guy came over, clearly surprised to see me sitting there, still in my car. They asked what happened and I told them. I described the man. But neither of them recognized him. The new guy, it seemed like no one knew who he was. No one had ever seen him before. After that night, things changed. The building increased security. More guards were stationed in the parking areas, doing rounds every hour. But I never saw that man again. And I don't ever want to. In the days that followed, I became more cautious. That experience left me feeling vulnerable, even when I thought I was safe. I started carrying pepper spray with me. I attached a whistle to my ID lanyard and bag straps just in case. That night taught me an important lesson. Sometimes your instincts are the only thing that can keep you safe. And no matter how safe you think you are, there's always a possibility that something, or someone, unexpected will cross your path. If you've ever had a similar experience, or if something just didn't feel right in a moment, trust your gut. Stay aware of your surroundings. And never let your guard down. Thanks for listening to my story. Stay safe and I'll see you next time.